Yo, Thought Warriors. What is up? Higher Learning is on. It is Ivan Lathan Jr.
And it's me, Rachel and Lindsay.
I fixed that guy's video.
What guy? Let them know what you're talking about.
So the guy that you guys saw who is striving for excellence, Ashton Hall, who's putting the banana peels on his face and stuff like that.
Okay, I didn't see that part.
You didn't see him put the banana peels on his face?
I saw his morning routine.
Well, he put the banana peels on his face.
I must have missed that.
Oh, it's a whole thing. So he gets up and he wakes up at like 3 a.m. He goes outside. It looks like he communes with God. He pushes the ground. Push the ground, nigga, push the ground. And then, but at one point he eats a banana and then he puts the peel on his face.
That's excessive.
There's no...
I've never heard. He looks like he's in good shape. He takes care of himself. He might know something I don't. Never heard of that.
Yeah. I fixed the video.
Okay. Well, what was wrong with the video, first off?
So the video was missing culture. It was missing. So I took Freddie Gibbs' Big Boss Rabbit.
Okay.
And I put it underneath the video. I want you guys to check it out. I think it fixes the entire video. I think the video feels more inspirational. It looks better. It sounds better. It feels better.
Okay.
Okay? Because I think him with all of his sound effects and all of that stuff and the ambiguous Latina woman that was like feeding him all of this stuff, it was throwing people off.
Was she a chef? Did he have a chef? I was confused by that. I was like, is he at a restaurant? I don't know. Whatever. I mean, okay, so I caught Van taking mirror selfies of himself and I asked him if he was inspired by this guy, which why don't you send Donnie that photo so you can post it up?
It's not a mirror selfie.
What is it?
It's a selfie with me showing off the guns.
That is a mirror selfie. He's very proud. He said he's very proud of himself, and I think you should show people that.
Can I be honest with you guys? Like, the hatred is out of this world. Like, I get hated on. I can't do nothing without getting hated on. Oh, by the way,
Is it hate to say you took a mirror selfie when that's a fact?
It's hate to bring it up.
You brought it up. That's why we start talking about being small. Don't be ashamed.
You're ashamed.
Be proud. Anything, you're like Trump. You can't say anything critical to you without you going off the rails.
Can we show the Trump picture? Can we start there?
You would do this.
Let me ask Chelsea. We might get to it
later.
I don't see why not.
Would do this.
Let's get to it later. I wouldn't do it. You're a jerk. You're being mean towards me.
I'm not mean. I'm fresh off vacation. I feel good. So 48 hours in Cancun.
Where'd you go? You went to Cancun?
I went to Cancun, celebrate a wedding. Twin, well, Brian is his real name, and Glenisha. I went to college with Brian.
Glenisha?
Mm-hmm. Kalanini. I went to college with Brian. They are childhood friends, rekindled, stayed in touch, found each other again in adulthood, and got married. And it was such a fun wedding because it was everybody from the 409, not Beaumont, Port Arthur, but Lamarck, Texas City, that area, League City, all of that. So it was just like a Texas fun
a hoedown. Y'all had a hoedown?
It wasn't a hoedown. It was like Houston music. It just felt like college again. I'll post it on my social, but it was just so much fun to see everybody.
What it should be, like a celebration of where everybody's from and coming together and all
I have never heard more beautiful vows than what they both were beautiful, but hers to him, she didn't write it down. You could just tell, like, the joy was pouring out of her pores. It made me question. I said, I don't remember being that joyous.
Because you weren't.
I was like, wow, it was such beautiful love.
How much of your marriage?
Infectious. It was so beautiful.
How much of your marriage, what percentage of your marriage was business?
No, I didn't feel like that in the moment.
I'm asking.
No. I won't do that. I will say towards the end when I felt like I was keeping up appearances, sure.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, absolutely not.
It was straight love.
But but I would say half. Towards the end, it felt like I was, like putting on a front to keep up with appearances and, to protect reputation and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so that felt like business. But I didn't get married for business. No, okay. I won't say that.
It's cool. It's great. I had very what? I'm asking.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I'm asking because you never know. Because you know what the thought from a lot of people from the outside looking in on a situation like that is is that you could not possibly have found somebody that you wanted to actually marry and spend your entire life with on that television show in the compacted amount of time that you're on there.
Well, remember we dated, but it was 2 years between the engagement and the marriage.
So it was
we
a
lived
regular,
together.
yeah.
But I will say there was still pressure because of how we met, and even pressure that I put on myself as a woman who was in her 30s and had put career first. And I just felt like, I'm behind on certain things. I do think that if we had met in real life, I would have never been married. Yeah, like I think I would have, without the public pressure, without, me putting pressure on myself of, like, I should be married by now. I want kids. I think that I would have flushed out certain issues that I had from the beginning.
So it wasn't just the pressure that came from the show itself. There was also just the garden variety, hey, it's time to be married, societal pressure.
I want to write about that because I feel like a lot of women who are similarly situated, who maybe were taught to put career first, and they're successful in every area of their life, and then they look up and they're like, man, I thought I'd be married right now. Man, I feel like my biological clock is ticking. You feel like this relationship is the last relationship, and if you don't make this work, then it's going to be hard for you to find somebody else. I absolutely felt like that. And the more I talk to women, because I have a lot of single friends, they kind of feel that same way too.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of desperation in it too.
Wow. Bit of desperation. That's interesting. It's interesting how life is interesting.
It really is.
Because it's interesting that we make things so important, right? But then when you take the step back, huge field view, those things kind of are important. So I guess the philosophical question is, if you only live once, and you're going to be dead for trillions and trillions and trillions and billions of years, then does that make something more important or less important?
More important.
But you could also argue that because of that actually nothing matters.
You could.
Right?
But that's a bleak way to live.
Well, not necessarily. You could argue that it's not necessarily that it's a bleak way to live, that it is
carefree,
freeing way to live. So it's like,
I got you.
I mean, does it give life more meaning or does it give life less meaning? And I'm talking about even if you consider an afterlife on high, that wouldn't seem to be the same way that we're living right now. Does what we have now matter more? Does it matter more to have kids, or is it like whatever? What difference does it make? It just depends, you know?
Yeah, it depends what you value and what you prioritize. For me, that was something that was important. But I guess I feel like I'm somewhere, it's a really interesting thought. I really feel like I'm somewhere in between. Like once I took a sharp left turn and I left being a lawyer and I decided there's more to life than the courtroom, like taking depositions, sitting in an office. And I wanted to explore more of that because I only have one life to live. It was freeing for me, but also more meaningful at the same time.
Right. Oh, makes a lot of sense. I just think about that because, I know so many ladies that are, particularly ladies that are putting so much pressure on themselves to have children, and it makes sense. But then at the same time, it's like, girl, live your life, man. You only got one of them things.
But that might be,
their thing,
I want kids. So it's not, I feel like I have to have kids because I'm a woman. It's something that I've always wanted for myself.
Well, I mean, your body tells you that you want to have kids because it's pro-evolutionary. Like you.
Does it?
Yeah, like for you, see, this is the things we don't talk about. In order for us, a lot of this stuff is societal, but a lot of this stuff is also just in us. In order for the species to continue, you have to feel like you want to have kids, and I have to feel like I want to have sex. So every time we talk about how horny men are and all of that stuff, what you're actually talking about is nature and other species where they don't get nobody comes down on them for the fact that—
You mean like animals?
That the animals, nobody comes down on the animals for the fact that the guys run around having the sex and doing all of that stuff. For us, we've made families and vows, and we've honor each other and exalt each other and we We have morals. So it's different, but...
So you're anti-monogamy.
I'm not I'm not anti-monogamy, but what I'm saying is the drive to be like, oh, it's a thing. It's a part of nature. And we're not supposed to talk about that because it makes it, these men are disgusting. They think about, yeah, they are. It's a part of nature.
But it's part of nature. You're excusing it. I was trying to look up.
I'm not excusing it. I'm giving you the reason why.
I was trying to look up what Kofi said about monogamy. He calls it non-monogamy.
Kofi.
Ethical non-monogamy. That's what he calls it.
Can I say something about...
That's what he's declared his relationship style. When you were talking, I was like, what did he say about this?
Can I say something about Kofi and him saying that? I was in New Orleans and I went to a party and it was literally at Kofi's house.
Okay.
It was like a Paramount Super Bowl party. Kofi can get away with saying something like that. Yeah. Like, y'all don't try to be like
Kofi.
Kofi is the kind of guy who can sit down with a latte or you know how cool niggas, they get the drink, but they only put a little bit of the drink in the glass?
Yeah.
I can't get away with that.
Like, you mean like neat? They have it
They
neat.
just got a little drink in the glass and they doing like this and they talking to you and you like, God damn. They got a little drink in the glass. Like, it's just have a...
No, you like fruity drinks. You like the drinks that are like, you do. That's a fact.
Rachel likes to get at people.
No, that's a fact. You like them with the umbrella in them. You do. You like the frozen drinks.
Right.
That's not me getting at you.
Yeah, it's a get at right there.
I know your
Donnie,
drink type.
We're going to keep track of how much we get at each other. I feel like I've gotten at her already, but that was a get at, okay? That was a get at right there. Like, there's a get at. But, you know, he could do that. He could say, you know, girl, I love to practice ethical monogamy. And the woman's going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm into that too. You know what I mean? Until she got a couple of kids and then she's going to be like, nigga, where you been? But most guys, you better ethical your ass in this house. They're not going to accept that from you. Niggas don't go out there trying to be Kofi. Kofi used shea butter. I have to do something about my dreams before we start the show. I have to do something. My dreams were just crazy this weekend. It was ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah. So on Saturday night, because I've been keeping the journal, on Saturday night,
this, though.
I dreamed that I was on a plane and then the plane was about to land, all right? And there was a screen on the plane and on the screen, Jeff Goldblum came on the screen.
Okay.
And he was portraying Magneto from the X-Men.
So he was bald.
No, Magneto is not bald. That is
which
Professor
one's
X.
Magneto? Oh, Magneto, the helmet. Got it. Sorry.
Okay. Don't
I'm
piss me off.
visually trying to see it. Okay, he flies. The helmet. I got it.
Yeah. He kind of flies. Like he can levitate himself. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Magneto from the X-Men. So... And it was Magneto, he was up there, and then he commanded the people on the plane, which were celebrities, to come to a specific place where we were like in Magneto's lair, but they were actually shooting the new X-Men movie.
So you were one of the celebrities.
I was one of the celebrities.
Okay, I just want to be clear.
It was like Mariah Carey and all of these other people and Samuel L. Jackson, and we were walking through this Magneto's lair. But it was Magneto's lair. He was the actual Magneto. He was the real Magneto. But they were also shooting the X-Men movie. So Jeff Goldblum was playing Magneto, but he was actually Magneto.
Okay.
And it was just a weird dream of us. And he was making things levitate and all of that stuff. And then I got super duper scared and I tried to leave. And Mariah Carey said, you can't leave. And I was like, Jesus Christ. All right. Last night's dream, though, was way over the top.
Okay.
I dreamed that there were two different factions of Ku Klux Klan that were singing Jagged Edge songs. I don't know where this came from.
First explain the difference between the two Ku Klux Klans.
One had all green on.
Okay.
And then the other one had all orange on.
Oh.
And there was a black guy. And I happened upon this. And I'm sitting here and at first I got scared because I saw this black dude and I saw the Ku Klux Klan over here and I saw the Ku Klux Klan over here. I got scared. I was like, oh my God, I was having fear in the dream. By the way, in these dreams, I keep trying to tell people, in these dreams, I'm making decisions. Like it's not a dream. Like
I make decisions in my dreams.
Okay, so I guess everybody does that then. Okay, so I'm like making decisions, like I'm feeling emotion.
Yeah.
I feel like in some way I'm living a parallel life in the dream.
That's cool.
Right? And so I'm coming to this room and I feel fear because I see this guy and there's two different factions of the Ku Klux Klan and he is not afraid. He goes, sit down. And so I sit down and then they start singing Jagged Edge, the two.
Which song?
He Can't Love You.
Both of them were singing the same
They're
song?
singing against each other. They're going, ooh, ooh, yeah, ooh. And they're singing, and one Ku Klux Klan, and then the other one will go, and then one sings, and then the guy goes in the middle, he starts laughing. He's like, y'all suck. He goes, as a matter of fact, y'all shouldn't be singing He Can't Love You. Y'all should be singing He Can't Lynch You.
That was in your dream?
In my dream. And then I start laughing, right? But then one of them actually starts to sing it, and then me and the dude get super mad. Like they start to sing it, and then me and the guy get super mad, and then all of a sudden we got guns, and we about to shoot them up, and then I wake up. Because they took the joke and they started to sing it.
I wonder what was in your subconscious that made you, were you listening to Jagged Edge?
I have no clue. I haven't heard that song in a long time.
Did you watch a University of Miami game for the orange and the green? Like, I'm trying to figure out, did you?
I don't know, but that makes sense though.
Yeah, like I'm really trying to, Joseph, interpret your dream here. I don't know. Only other person who I know who has equally as vivid dreams as you, it's Willie.
Oh, wow.
He flies in every dream.
Yeah, I fly so much in the dreams.
Y'all should talk. I said, are you soaring? Like, I'm curious. I was like, are you soaring above? Or is it kind of like a Magneto thing? Said both.
Sometimes I fly through buildings. And then sometimes I'm like above the earth.
And
it makes me so afraid because when I'm flying in my dream, I wonder how I'm flying. And then I wonder, at what point is my ability to fly gonna run out? And then I'm gonna plummet to the earth.
Y'all should talk. Literally, y'all have the same dreams. And I was like, Van has very vivid dreams like that too. I'm actually jealous. Can be honest, I'm jealous. Sometimes I have vivid dreams. I don't remember them every night. I love to dream. So I'm jealous that you dream like that.
But it's becoming like a weird thing to where I don't know like what's gonna happen next. And
so you're anxious in your dream?
A little bit, because like some of them get really, really, really intense and scary to the point to where I gotta wake up and take a little break from sleeping. Like I gotta take a little break from sleeping because like it gets very intense. And I woke up this morning and the first thing I did was look at the Oura ring. And when I looked at the Oura ring says, okay, look, watch. I'm tell you right now. What does this say? You read it to the people because they're not gonna believe me. So my readiness is low. And why is my readiness low?
What do you mean readiness?
The Oura ring measures your readiness. It measures your readiness. It's my readiness is low because I had an elevated heart rate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had an elevated heart rate last night.
Wait, yours is it says, well, this is explaining what a resting heart rate is.
Okay, well, it gives you a little deal, but like my resting heart rate when I'm in my sleep is normally like in the 40s or the 50s.
Oh, and that was 65.
It's 65. Like I had an elevated heart rate last night.
I feel like I should get the ring.
You definitely should get the ring. You need some
I don't want to know how I'm sleeping.
I'm
a restless sleeper.
All right. In memoriam, don't want to be real quick on this because this is a loss of a Titan, Texas Titan. George Foreman dies at 76. Had no idea that George Foreman was sick in any way. Still don't know what exactly has happened. But the Foreman family announced his death in a post on Instagram. A devout preacher, a devoted husband, a loving father. and a proud grand and great-grandfather. He lived a life marked by unwavering faith, humility, and purpose. A two-time Olympian, a two-time heavyweight champion of the world. He's deeply respected, a force for good, a man of discipline, conviction, and a protector of his legacy, fighting tirelessly to preserve his good name for his family. If you guys don't know the story of George Foreman, the sports story of George Foreman, it is absolutely remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. He took up boxing. Within a year of taking up boxing, or 2 years of taking up boxing, George Foreman won an Olympic gold medal boxing. Went on to become one of the most feared heavyweight champions of the 70s, particularly the early to mid 70s. Just obliterated Joe Frazier in a 2-round fight. And then his career fell on some hard times. He lost to Muhammad Ali in one of both the biggest upsets in boxing history. I mean, it's Ali, so it's not like, the Buster Douglas upset, but also one of the finest performances in the histories of sports from Muhammad Ali. Goes away for a little while, not directly after that, but that kind of sends him into a tailspin. It loses another fight. It has some novelty fights like 6 or 7 guys in one fight. Like, he just was kind of struggling to get his air of invincibility back. And then steps away from boxing, leaves boxing.
Was he a preacher then?
He was a preacher then. And, for much of the 80s, George Foreman is not a boxer. He's a preacher back in Houston. Decides that he's going to return to boxing, I think 1988, and works his way up, a completely different version of himself, to become the heavyweight champion at age 45. When he beats Michael Moore in a fight that everyone reduces down to one punch, but it wasn't that. Michael Moore was the first southpaw heavyweight champion of the world. He was a young, hungry fighter. George didn't just hit Mike with a ridiculously short and powerful right hand. He set the shot up. He got in the ring with Michael Moore and took a little sting off of his punches round by round by round. George didn't really give him the power, and coaxed Michael Moore into fighting in close with him in the middle of the ring. If you watch the fight, Teddy Atlas is begging Michael Moore to get in, get out, to show speed, to pick George apart. He was winning the fight, but George was letting Michael Moore get comfortable, knowing that he had one shot to land a big shot. And I think it was in the 10th round, he hit him, just was off a little bit, and then he comes back and he hits him perfectly. Michael Moore is out. George knows that he won one of the greatest accomplishments in boxing history. But as a man, as a philanthropist, as a businessman with the George Foreman Grill, as a force for good energy, which we don't have as much as we used to, George Foreman is incomparable in that way. He's really one of the most notable and inspirational pop culture and athletically, and athletes, should I say, of my lifetime.
I mean, I didn't watch the movie. I did not know that deep of the history of Jordan, but from what I knew at a young age, so he did that fight with Michael Moore in 94. I obviously didn't watch that as a kid, but he always seemed like a guy you wanted to know.
Yeah.
I remember the George Foreman Grill. We had one. He was always on TV promoting it, but he just always seemed to be smiling, like so likable. I never really heard anybody say anything bad about him. Just seemed to always have such a lovely spirit.
Yeah, for sure.
Never met him, but that's just how he came across. So,
what did you put on your George Foreman Grill? Did y'all have one?
We had one.
What did you put on the George Foreman Grill? Chicken?
Mm-hmm.
Chicken on
like
the
a chicken breast.
Let me tell you what I used to put on the George Foreman Grill. Deer sausage. Man, let me tell y'all something.
We weren't eating that.
Y'all missing. Let me tell you what y'all missing. You got deer sausage, right? Take the deer sausage patty. You go out there, you get yourself a buck. We don't really hunt does in the Lathan family, right? We let the women live, you feel me? let the women live, all right? A split tail, you will walk on, you know what I'm saying? we let the women live, but a buck, boom! This was a boom! You hit the buck fall, field dress him, and all I could think while we doing it, because it's dirty work, right, is that deer sausage. Woo! Little back strap. That's for the deer sauce pecan that mama gonna make. You know what I mean? Shout out to my mother, Crystal Ellis. Boy, it still stings to say Crystal Ellis and not Crystal Lathan, but Crystal Ellis, my mother, my grandmother. Shout out to Ebony. Ebony can't do the deer sauce pecan. If Ebony was doing it, it would probably be like, I don't want to say it.
Ebony, you always be giving Ebony stories.
But you take some of that deer sausage, you do it like this, Rachel. This is what you do to it. You take the deer sausage, you put it on the George Foreman grill. Little mustard, little cheese.
It's a patty.
It's a patty. It's a patty. I mean, they have deer sausage links, but I like the patty, the deer sausage patty.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't like?
I don't like the ground. I don't really like patties. It's like I don't eat hamburgers anymore. So there's something. I do a link.
You don't eat hamburgers anymore. Yeah, you got real issues, but that's okay. But look, that's a get at. Count it. But yeah, the George Foreman, and then we tricked ourselves into believing that the George Foreman magically made what we were eating healthy.
That's how they advertised it.
My daddy would be like, take that, you put it on a George Foreman grill, you ain't got to worry about the fat.
Yeah, the fat, it's lean. It's the fat, you would see all the juice, everything just kind of come out, and then you empty the tray.
Boy, I tell you what, the George Foreman, two things I'll say about the George Foreman grill. One, make sure you keep your tray clean. You're leaving it out because the fat would get around the George Foreman grill and they would make a thing. You got to clean that tray. I've been to people's house before where they wasn't cleaning the George Foreman tray. You're nasty. And then two, you was eating the George Foreman stuff, the food off the George Foreman grill. And after a while, the little non-stick part of it would like singe off. You look, and in the middle of the George Foreman grill, it would be not quite black where the non-stick stuff was, but it would be like gray with the underlying grill. That gotta be a carcinogen. We was eating all of I'm telling you, there's gonna be studies about, rest in peace, George Foreman, but there's gonna be studies about how we were eating the non-stick part of the George Foreman grill and people growing arms and tumors in their knees and all of that type of shit. It gotta be. You know what I'm talking about? Donnie.
Well, it would have felt like it would have already come out. This is almost 30 years.
Of the George Foreman grill. But you know what I'm talking about? When you eat you're on the George Foreman grill, and in the middle of the grill,
I remember.
It stops being the black grill color and it starts getting like, it's gray there because it's the underlying grill. That stuff is getting in on your meat.
It's what happens with air fryers. All this, yeah, probably.
Whew.
Wait, what a way to end that topic. Come on.
Donnie, did you use a George Foreman grill?
Too young.
We did, but this was a period when my mom was really into turkey burgers.
Okay.
So we used them for those, and I hated turkey burgers. So I have like a gross association with the grill.
What size grill did y'all have?
We had the small one.
Right.
Like this big.
Yeah. We tried to move up to the bigger one. We couldn't justify the space that it took up. It's like Daddy was like, that one too big now. We don't need all of that. So we do always have the small George Foreman grill.
Yeah,
deer sausage. Almost exclusively deer sausage, because once we got into deer sausage, we weren't eating a ton of beef. We just eating a lot of venison. Deer sausage burger, deer sausage sandwich. You come over to my house,
definitely
I give you something,
taste.
And you don't even know that you're eating the deer sausage.
No,
like,
you know. Deer's an acquired taste.
No.
You know.
You okay, let's move on. Entertainment
Rest
news.
in peace, George Foreman.
Rest in peace, George Foreman. Entertainment news.
There's a couple of films that released this past weekend that had some controversy around their release. The first of which was Magazine Dreams. I haven't seen the movie yet. You all have, I believe. What did you guys think?
Was that a get at?
That's a get at.
Was it?
That's a get at.
It's a get at.
That was a get at.
Count it.
I ain't gonna see that shit. Y'all fucked
did.
up niggas went and saw that
y'all
shit.
Went.
I didn't see that shit. I didn't see it.
I haven't been to the movies in months. I'm jealous, honestly. I wish I could have gone to the movies.
Don't blame that on Junie.
I'm hungry for the movies.
Don't blame that on Junie. That was a get at it, Junie. Don't do that.
Baby.
Got at Junie.
Don't do that.
Put the get at counter up there. 1 for Rachel, I think 2 for me, and then 2 for Donnie.
And one
All
for
right, cool.
Junie.
Two for Donnie. He got at us, and then he got at Junie.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
2 for Donnie.
Count it.
We counting up the get ats. All right.
What did you think?
Okay, so this is what I thought. The lead performance in Magazine Dreams is one of the best acting performances I've seen in a long time. Right. The movie Magazine Dreams is good, but it's a lot. It's one of those ones to where it's a descent into depravity from a character or a character's journey that is, it's a lot to handle. And the movie itself is not for everyone. Could have used more Taylor Page. I love Taylor Page.
I was shocked because 2 years ago when they were promoting the movie, you would hear it's Jonathan Majors and Taylor Page. So I kept wondering, I honestly thought as I was watching it, did she pull out of this movie?
Yeah.
Because it takes a long time for her to show up. And then when she shows up, that's it.
Yeah.
So I really was expecting
Taylor
more.
Page just continues to be one of the most believable actresses ever. And I don't know how to even describe it. Like whatever movie or thing that she's in, you believe that she's that. She has we talk about a lot about Jonathan Majors and the young actors are out. She doesn't get a lot of press as far as that's concerned, but she's an incredibly believable actress.
She's not as many big roles, but there's something that's very natural and disarming about her when she plays it, which is why it gives you that. Very, very believable.
Right. So, movie, I would say, great movie. Well, good movie. Very performance dependent. He's in every scene. So, it's very performance dependent movie. But he was fantastic in the movie.
So y'all know this, or maybe you don't remember, but I don't like to know a lot about a movie before I go into it. I don't like to watch trailer. I don't like to read up on it. I just want to go in. This is a movie I wish I had because I had no idea what I was walking into. And it was very heavy. And I walked out just really down from watching the movie. It was deep. It was twisted. It was dark. It was heavy. It just, the theme of people being invisible, I don't know why, but that rocked me. It just, I don't like to say I'm an empath, but it just really made me feel bad.
Right.
I swear to God, I walked out and I looked at everybody, which I feel like I do try to acknowledge people, but it made me wonder, how many times in my life have I not acknowledged somebody? How many times have I walked past somebody? How many times has somebody been living in plain sight but feels very alone and invisible? That theme just, I don't know, I just carried it for a couple of days, to be honest with you.
The movie made about $700,000, 815 theaters. That's below the $1 million that the distributor had been hoping for. It has a high audience score. It has an 81% with critics. This tells you two things. One, it tells you that all of y'all in the comments that are saying Jonathan Majors deserves to be back. He deserves to have his career. Jonathan Majors deserves that. You guys didn't go see the movie. All right. So once again, I'll tell people that it doesn't matter how much you stump for something online or stump for somebody online. It doesn't matter how much you support diversity in film. It doesn't matter how much you support. If you don't go see the stuff, it doesn't matter. That's the first thing. Number two, this also says that although this is a smaller art house film, and Lemuel and the people over at Zeus were pretty instrumental in getting this movie distributed. I think it's distributed through Zeus Films.
But is it Breyer Entertainment?
Right.
Yeah.
That Jonathan Majors himself is probably not clear yet of all of the controversy and the professional stain regarding his case with Grace Jabari, which also got injected with some steroids, should I say, was strengthened the week of the film with the Rolling Stone article coming out with audio in the Rolling Stone article of Jonathan Majors seemingly admitting to having aggressed her after she mentions that he strangled her and pushed her against the car.
I absolutely think the movie would have done better if that audio had not come out. That audio was from 2022, and before what we saw on the video and before the trial. Yeah, I think because he had done the Hollywood Reporter article, it had come out that he had talked about being abused from ages 9 to 13, and there was a more favorable.
Seems like things were on the up.
Yeah, like there was there were the articles coming out about him, the attention surrounding him was more favorable, and then boom, immediately the week of the premiere, this comes out, and I do think that the movie would have performed better had that not come out. I saw on The Breakfast Club that Charlemagne was calling this a targeted attack. The audio recording being released and the Rolling Stones article coming out with it, which the Rolling Stones also did a huge expose on Jonathan Majors back in 2022, 2023 as well. But there were people who were split with the term targeted attack.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think it probably is target, but I'm not sure how much it matters, right? I mean, obviously, releasing that on the week that the movie comes out is
purposeful.
Well, sure. It's like, hey, don't forget the person with the movie that is doing all of this press has this in their past or has done this. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter very much. It only matters if you have a certain view of these types of issues. Meaning, if you view these types of issues as issues that are typically used to ruin men who are in high-profile positions or to take them down, then you go, hey, well, obviously this is very cynical. But if you look at this issue and issues like this as things that we need to socially litigate and make sure that people have grown from and evolved from, then whenever the information comes out, it's completely okay.
It's really interesting to me when I see people talking about this because I guess I walk away with, well, what specifically are you looking for, or what more do you want for maybe you to be, I guess, accepting of somebody, moving on or trying to move past it? Because a lot of people are saying that they don't feel like, because he's been doing a lot of interviews, not just at The Breakfast Club, TV, radio, podcasts, whatever it may be. He's been sitting down and he's been talking a lot, and we haven't heard from him in years. But a lot of people feel like he is not taking accountability for what he did, or he's not admitting to it, because when specifically asked about the audio recording, he seems to be being a little bit aloof or a little vague about it, or, just saying it's in God's hands, or even when he's asked specifically about the trial or, certain other allegations that have been made come to light from past girlfriends as well, even though that stuff wasn't admitted into trial. And they believe that he's going on a redemption tour, and people feel like it's too soon. Seen a lot of talk about this. It's too soon for him to be talking about this. Then they'll compare him to other actors or who have had history, who have been arrested or had jail time, who are Marvel, who are also with Marvel as well.
It's about specifically in the Breakfast Club interview, Jeremy Renner, Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. Yes, which I don't think those are apples to apples cases, but that's not really what I'm talking about. But I guess my question is, he's not going to specifically talk about a trial. He's not going to specifically say exactly what you want him to say, even in with the audio recording that has come out. But to say that, I guess that he's going on a redemption tour and he seems to not be taking accountability for it, I guess I'm a little confused, because he has said things like, I'm ashamed of what I did. He's admitted to having anger issues. He's admitted to dealing with past demons from the past. He's talked about going to therapy. He's talked about accepting things that have happened to him. And he's talked about working on being better, since all of that came to light. So I guess the question is, I get you don't have to like him. totally understand that. But at what point do you accept what he's saying and then feel it's okay for him to pursue a career, which includes promoting a movie in public, which includes going to watch a movie or supporting somebody, like going back to their craft. I guess that's what I don't understand. What more are you looking for? You don't gotta like them.
Right. So there's a article by Michael Arsenault, who we've had on the show before, who is just simply one of the greatest minds that we have. Right. One of the greatest minds, one of the greatest writers, one of the thought leaders that we have. And he wrote an article. It's called Jonathan Majors Wants a Hollywood Comeback. He Still Hasn't Done One Thing. And so I encourage everybody to read that article, whether you agree with what's in the article or not. But it is an articulation of what some people are asking for from Jonathan Majors in order to be like, okay, this is the thing, or be okay with him. This is the thing. So from my knowledge at TMZ and my overall celebrity knowledge, I could go on an entire rant listing the various incidences of physical and sexual abuse by artists, male artists that we love. I could give you a laundry list of white, particularly white and Black stars that have been arrested for domestic violence, arrested for assault against women, some really nasty stuff, right? Some brutal, punishing things, and have done time for them, have been in jail for them, have gone places. Some of these women are famous, some of these women aren't, right? Black, white, males, but if we're talking about this, we're dealing in the language of double standards. So I could tell you about some of the guys that you love, that people laud, that have had these types of problems. It's irrelevant. And the reason why it's irrelevant, and the reason why the whataboutism is irrelevant, because it doesn't center the victims in this. It's saying these people have abused people, and we moved on with it. So why shouldn't we move on with it when somebody else is guilty of that same thing? Okay. And that centers the men instead of the victims in those situations. What we were trying to do and have been trying to do is center the people that have been hurt in these circumstances and think about their feelings.
Sure.
And what's going on with them and how they move on. And the only way to really have that conversation is not to say that, hey, we got over it this time and we need to get over it this time, is to say, the only way to do that is to say, are we fostering a society and a culture where we're analyzing these things and meting out the proper societal consequences for them, and also demanding the healing and the accountability for them that those type of allegations go with, right? So it doesn't matter who else did it. It doesn't matter where it's been done. The question is, has accountability been taken? And are you doing the work to move yourself out of the sphere of violence and anger that you were in before?
It almost feels, very well said, it almost feels subjective, because is it even our place to say, like, okay, now you've done enough? No, if you're centering the victims, then it's really, like, we can observe as fans, or, as people who are just interested in the story, or, what's been happening, who've been following along. But it is like, which is, I guess, going back to the question that I was asking, it does become subjective over what is enough. How long is too long? Like, how long
that's
do you
the
need to
cultural
keep...
conversation. So the cultural conversation is about what is enough. And by the way, it is subjective, but I don't imagine that anyone that's been allegedly harmed by Jonathan Majors is going to go see Magazine Dreams. So what I'm saying is, for the people that want to make sure that they're not supporting someone that is conning them, and saying that they've done the work to change, and saying that they've done the work to move on, and they can, in good faith, support either their their comeback or their art, it's going to be up to them. What is kind of not up to them is the broader and greater discussion of what that should entail.
Yeah.
Of what it should mean, because we can talk about like everyone makes their own decision about who they're going to support. But what we can do is come together and be like, okay, well, what does it mean to move on from something like this? What does it mean to grow out of it? What does it mean to get better? Can you grow out of it? Can you get better? For me, I'll just tell people straight up, like, I do believe strongly in redemption. I strongly believe in people's ability to grow and change. Because, man, look, when we're providing services for men and boys who have been released out of prison so that they don't fall into recidivism, when we're providing jobs for them, when we're having the conversation about the gentlemen who are fighting fires, these are incarcerated people. These are people who have aggressed. These are people who have done things that they either deeply, deeply regret, or they were so young and in a bad way when they did them that they want the opportunity to show society a different side of themselves. I cannot advocate for those men and be a part of movements that address recidivism and address incarceration and address rehabilitation and remorse and evolution, and then at the same time have an eternal grudge against someone who's made mistakes because they're an entertainer. The question is, I mean, those guys went to jail. Like, those guys were subjected to some of the most inhuman circumstances that you can get subjected to because they were in American prisons. The question is, what is the proper amount of atonement and accountability for people that don't serve those type of penalties and experience those type of consequences?
Yeah.
And in terms of the healing from that, what do you want to see? And look, droning on now, but Jonathan Majors does have a responsibility to his healing. He is newly married to a beautiful bride and a woman who everyone loves. She has a very high approval rating amongst the Blacks. And he has responsibilities as a Black man. He has responsibilities
as a father.
As a father.
To a daughter, yeah.
He has a responsibility as a member of this American thing that are outside just how good of an actor he is.
Yeah.
But, like, to me, I'm never going to close the book on someone in that way just because it's just not who I've been, you know?
Well said. I don't have anything to add to that.
All right, we're gonna move on. I've been drinking a lot of water.
I have to go to the bathroom,
so I have to use the bathroom.
Good. I was like,
Y'all getting old.
Shut up, Donnie. That's a get it.
Count it. The second of the two movies I teased earlier is Disney's Snow White, which was also released this past weekend. It made 87 million globally. You can compare that to Little Mermaid, which made about 163 million globally. I'm gonna assume y'all haven't seen this, but I could be wrong. Probably right. But have y'all seen the controversy that has surrounded the movie?
Yeah. I mean, the controversy's been going on for a while. Because wasn't this movie supposed to come out in 2024? So it's been pushed back. I think it was supposed to come out a year ago. And it's been pushed back because of some of the controversy. The lead's not getting along. I guess some of the animation issues that they had, trying to make sure they get things right. But let's be honest. This movie should have never been made. Do you agree or not? They should never have remade this movie, is what I mean.
What do you mean?
I know
that... Oh, you're talking about because of...
We're all into like the live, we got live animation?
They've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, and it's very popular and it's profitable, so I understand it. And Snow White, when it came out, was huge. Like, I think Walt Disney was able to buy like all this land because of the way that they profited off of that movie back in 1937. But that movie has so many problems where we were in 1937 versus 2025, more than the other Disney movies, that this should have never been a movie to remake in light of where we are culturally right now. Because think about it. When Snow White goes into the forest to run away from the queen who wants to kill her because she's so perfect because her skin is white as snow.
Right.
One problem. She goes, finds the dwarf's house. She cooks, she cleans the house, right? And why does she get to stay? Because she agrees to cook and clean for them.
Pull your weight. Pull your weight.
For these 7 men.
Yeah.
She had to earn her keep, but she couldn't earn. Why couldn't she go mine with them? Why couldn't she go work? Why couldn't she go hi ho, hi ho? Then they were pitting 2 women against each other over jealousy, over beauty. Beauty was the defining factor of a woman.
Oh, that never happens, right?
Beauty was I'm not saying none. It doesn't mean it's right.
Right.
Beauty was the defining factor of what made a woman great and desirable. That was it. Obviously, the depiction of the dwarfs. Oh. In order for her to be happy, she had to find the love of a prince. In order for her to wake up, she was this damsel in distress. She had to be rescued by a man in order to go on and live this beautiful, happy life. Only a man could save her. The movie is problematic, which is why Rachel, who played Snow White, spoke out about it, how she talked about the problems with the past movie. She talked about how her representation of it and the things that they changed. But of course, that was going to be met with controversy and backlash, as some of the other movies that they did remade and recast in certain ways. But this one, it wasn't even just the backlash from the people who have a problem with the wokeness of it. It was also what they had to change with the 7 dwarves and all of that. I mean, people were down to the wig, calling out her wig.
Yeah.
They were calling her Lord Farquaad.
Okay. So I guess, okay. So
should have never been remade.
On your points, obviously, number one, I have no problem with them asking her to cook and clean. Okay? No problem. She's asking to live with them. All right? So,
but there were other options.
She's asking to live with them.
They didn't say, hey, do you want to go mine for jewels? We can show you the way. There's 7 of us.
Why would they take the time to teach her how to mine for jewels when it's easier for them to just say, hey, it's cool for you to stay there. I know what they didn't ask for, which a lot of 7 men would have asked for. They didn't ask for that. So they asking her to cook and clean. I think this is a problem, right?
1937, we weren't even 20 years past women getting the right to vote.
Oh, y'all still had...
It was still embedded. It was still, the mentality was still there.
Y'all 40 years away from bank accounts at that point. Of course it was still embedded. Like, I didn't get credit cards till 1974. I'm not,
I don't understand why she couldn't hi-ho.
They didn't ask her to hi-ho. They could have asked her to hi-ho.
Let me finish.
Not what they asked her for.
Off to work we go.
They didn't ask her to hi-ho. They could have asked her for some hi-ho, but they didn't ask her for no hi-ho. What they asked her for was, look, you're asking to live in our crib, so can you pick up around here and maybe cook a stew for us every now and again? Okay?
They said, woman, get to work. And Dan's okay with that.
The only thing I'm okay with is people actually doing something while they're asking for something. Yes, we got a crib. First of all, these niggas is not living like high off the hog. They got 7 roommates. They living together, 7 roommates. They gonna bring somebody else in. You gotta cook and clean a little bit, Snow White.
It was never even considered that she could contribute in other ways other than cooking
they got a profession.
And clean.
Okay, cool.
Cooking and cleaning.
All right, I'll come back to it. As far as the 2 women against each other, it's just a bad time to bring that up because, I mean, we saw that last week on The Breakfast Club. So...
I thought that wasn't the issue, though. By the way, shout out to Lauren. She's getting a new show.
Shout out to Lauren.
Getting a new show.
The latest with Lauren. By the way, everybody that's saying that she's getting that show because of what happened between... That show's been in the works for a very long time. A very long time.
Yeah, of course.
A very long time. So shout out to Lauren. Shout out to Jess. Shout out to the women of The Breakfast Club. Shout out to Angela Yee. Shout out to the women of The Breakfast Club that have had a big part and played a big part in making The Breakfast Club what it is, okay? Some of the other stuff with the movie, I get what you're saying. I don't agree. I will say this, though. The real reason why people are at this movie's throat is because Snow White is not Lily White. That's why they're at the movie's throat. Snow White is not Lily White. That's why they don't like it, right? And skin is white as snow. They don't like it because Snow White's not Lily White. Now, Rachel Ziegler is pro-Palestine. She's talked about it. And then Gal Gadot, who is the worst actress that has ever been successful. She is abominably bad.
I didn't mind her in Wonder Woman.
Okay, she was okay in that. She was okay in that.
What else is she? I haven't seen her in anything else.
I don't even have time to go. She's in this. They brought her politics with it, and so you have the movie stepped into a perfect pit of shit. You have some people that don't want to see it because the lead is pro-Palestine. You have some people that don't want to see it because the other lead is pro-Israel. Mm-hmm. You have certain people that don't want to see it because there are dwarfs in it. You have certain people that don't want to see it because Peter Dinklage came out against the movie. Yes. You have certain people who don't want to see it because the lead is Latina. To your point, this movie doesn't have a real audience today, right? Because the story itself is so antiquated that in order to make the movie palatable for an audience today, you'd have to change so much of it that it wouldn't be Snow White anymore. Too many people were going to have a problem with it. Now, I think some of this stuff is just bullshit. I think that you can enjoy the story of Snow White in today's world, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, I'll be honest with you guys. I listen to women every day talking about how they're waiting on their prince. That hadn't changed.
I can say I'm waiting on my prince, but it doesn't mean that they're going to save me. I'm just waiting for like a wonderful man to come into my life who is a partner and compliments me. It doesn't mean that I'm this damsel in distress, that I can't live life to the fullest until this man comes to save me.
Well, you can't live life to the fullest until he comes. That's what you want. That's why you want him to come.
Well, it doesn't mean I'm not living a full life. Like I'm living a great life right now.
You didn't say full.
Full life, fine, whatever.
Okay.
I there are things that I want for myself. I still want children. There's things I want more success. There's like, yes, I'm not done. But you can have a happy life. You don't need to be saved. You can still want a prince.
Totally agree. I just think it's okay to say, I know so many happily married men that say, I wasn't living a full, like she saved me.
I want to be saved.
I want to be saved. It's okay to say that if you're coming at it from a point of fulfillment and not worth. If you feel like you're unworthy until a man comes to save you, I think that's bad. If you feel like you're unfulfilled until a man comes to save you, I think that's probably okay. Right? Because I think a lot of men out there realize how unfulfilled they are until a woman comes into their life and shows them how to get a driver's license and pay off their taxes and all that. I wasn't doing that shit.
Shout out to Kalika.
Okay, so this movie went bad. I'll say this.
How much money did it make? And what were they expecting? Like how much? Let's give them that kind of thing.
So the movie made $43 million at the domestic box office. $44 million at the global box office, $87.3 million. That's ridiculously bad for Disney.
Because they spent almost, $300 million?
It doesn't even matter how much money they spent. It's a legacy title that has 3 or 4 generations of lore and relevance behind it. And for the movie to come in under $50 million domestically is just unthinkable. $270 million budget. The live action Little Mermaid, starring a Blick, made $163.8 global. But the question, to your point, is the question you asked, is does Snow White have a place in contemporary society? I think she does.
I mean, she should, right? Like they should make certain changes because you don't want to reiterate some problematic themes of to be, as a woman, there are certain things that are problematic with a lot of these Disney movies, right?
Yeah.
But that was society at the time. So I do think you don't want to raise a whole nother generation of this is how you have to be or live as a woman. So certain things should change. But then we should be able to watch the movie. And same things with the Seven Dwarfs. I don't want to take that away either. That was obviously a big part of the movie that's problematic to a huge community. And then people were still mad about the way they did it. There are actors that were protesting the movies, little people that were like, we should have been able to play these roles.
That's a problem for me.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
This role was meant for me. So they just really got it wrong. I don't think they marketed it well because of the controversy with the actresses. They didn't do this crazy press tour. I really didn't know it was coming out. Like there wasn't this huge premiere. They had like hedges blocking the carpet because of they didn't do the normal rollout that they do for a live action movie, which I also think stopped people from going to see it.
Yeah.
I don't think most of America is as well versed with the controversy between the actors as much as they just didn't promote it in the same way that they do these other movies too.
Donnie, next topic.
Yeah, this is a gear shift. Let's shift gears. Two accusers filed lawsuits claiming that Marcellus Wiley attacked them in separate incidents in his dorm room in 1994 while he was at the University of Columbia. He was first publicly accused of rape 2 years ago, and he called those allegations BS in a YouTube video. One of the recent accusers, she reportedly went to Columbia administrators and urged her not to file a criminal complaint. And they said that if she pursued one, that she would be known as the girl who destroyed a black man's NFL dream. It looks like the victims aren't seeking specific damages, but this is currently going down in the courts.
Okay. There's a very specific reason why we are doing this topic. We are doing this topic because there is no way for us to not do a topic like this, particularly because we've had Anne-Marie Wiley on this podcast before, and we've talked about Marcellus Wiley on this podcast before, and maintain the integrity of our podcast in covering issues like this. We covered Jay-Z's issue. We covered Diddy's issues. We've covered all alleged assaults on other people. And if we do not talk about this, first of all, it's newsworthy and noteworthy, number one. If we do not talk about this, it, in my opinion, and I think you would agree, it injures the force and authenticity in which we can discuss it. Okay. There's not much information beyond what we've just read. So this is kind of a situation to where Marcellus Wiley has talked about this before. The accusers and other people around Columbia have discussed it, not just accusers, but there was somebody that came out on Twitter that said they were a male RA at Columbia at the time and had heard these accusations as well. So these accusations are accusations that have been around for decades. It's just we didn't know about them. So to me, this is a situation to where you look at it, you listen to it, you read the documents, and then you decide how you feel, particularly about these particular allegations and the history that Marcellus Wiley seems to have had at Columbia. He has once again vehemently denied these accusations. Go ahead.
He denied the first. So back in November 2023, right around the time the Adult Survivors Act was about to come to an end, after we had learned about Cassie, we learned about the first lawsuit that was filed against Marcellus Wiley. He immediately came out and called it BS, said that there was some sort of interaction, but it wasn't. There wasn't intercourse. He came out and said that he was going to countersue for defamation.
Sure.
I've checked. I haven't seen anything out there about that. So to my knowledge, they have not. He also talked about how convenient it was for her. This is an Ivy League sociology professor who made the first claims. And he talked about how convenient it was for her to come out as this act was about to expire. And really, flippantly talked about it. I mean, he has the right to defend himself, obviously, but just came out immediately. I believe this totals 3 lawsuits because the way I read the article said 2 new allegations.
Yeah.
So that's 3 women now. So 2 more women around the same time of year all three have very similar stories. And it's, as you said, it's something to pay attention to. You know, Marcellus Wiley is a talking head, and he speaks about different topics, not outside of sports. And now Anna Marie has deemed herself a media personality and is now a talking head on conservative platforms. So I do think that it's noteworthy to talk about, especially because Marcellus Wiley had a lot to say about what went down with the Fox Sports lawsuit and those allegations, and making assumptions based off of what was in the lawsuits with that and those allegations. He made big assumptions, even suggesting as to why he lost his job based off of that. And I'm not saying we're here to assume. I guess my point is that he has talked about allegations of a sexual nature as well. And so I think it is fair game to discuss what's happening, what the allegations are against him.
Well, 3 days ago, he did a video called The Truth About Marcellus Wiley, Exposing the Lies and False Allegations. So he covered it.
So he addressed it.
He addressed it on his YouTube. Well, look, Donnie, what is all of this stuff?
You skipped the time codes. This is a little bit of the transcript from some of this video he just pulled up.
Okay, cool. So there's obviously he's going to say that the allegations are false, and he goes into
the war on masculinity.
I mean, that's, first of all, I haven't watched this video in full, so I'm not going to criticize the video in any way without having watched it. So I did not watch this video. I'm going to be honest with you. I knew that the video had been made, but honestly, I didn't really have a lot of interest in watching the video. I knew that the video had been made. But look, the reality is this. Once again, I've said it before. Like, this is a part of, I mean, what do you want to say here? This is a part of the situation or a part of existing out here in LA and Los Angeles that is fucked. It's fucked. Like, you meet people, you know them, you have conversations and talks with them. For whatever reason, those people become people that you are cool with or friends with. And you have no idea what allegations or what things are going to spring forth. I'm saying like this. Like, I have done too much or I've seen too much in my career to say that I'm a vouch for what somebody did in 1994, 1995, or 1996. Man, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not about to vouch for what somebody did 2 or 3 or 4 months. I'm talking last year, because you just don't know people. However, I think a lot of people have learned that for us to litigate these types of things, these types of allegations here on Higher Learning or in any other place, it's sort of a quagmire. However, I will say this. I'm one who believes that when an allegation like this is made, particularly multiple allegations like this are made, that you have to be vehement in defending yourself, and you have to be really aggressive and clear in defending yourself, because I choose to believe women when they are speaking about things like this. I make the choice to believe women when they are speaking like this. Now, if you have a personal relationship with someone, you can go, hey, I know somebody. I don't think that they would do that. That is something that you can't say. When you know someone, you can say, hey, I know someone. I don't think that they would do that. And prior to any of this, if anybody had asked me this about Marcellus, based upon what I know, I would have said, I don't think he would do something like that.
I would say,
I don't think that he would do something like that.
Who walks around thinking that somebody they know would do stuff like that?
I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh.
There are guys, I'm going to be real with you, that I know, have known, play basketball with, whatever, that if something like that came up about them, I would be like, I can see that nigga doing that.
Mm.
All right, and by the way, even when you collate that information, you typically don't stay close to those people. They typically don't stay within your orbit, but there are some times when you are around someone and you see the way they treat women or things they say about women or stuff that they say about how certain things go, you go, shit. And then that comes out and you go, hey, I can see how something like that would happen. Now, this is not me saying what did or did not happen. This is not me saying what did or did not happen because I have no clue what did or did not happen. But I'm saying, had you asked me before then, I'd have been like, well, I never seen him like that. I never seen that with him. That doesn't mean that these women are lying, and I'm not saying that they are lying.
My biggest issue, I feel like, in the videos that and I haven't seen the second one where he talks about it, but just reading some of the transcript that Donnie put in the rundown, you obviously, you're going to defend yourself and you have the right to do that. What I don't like is when there's a way to defend yourself without blaming the person. And there seems to be like this, rather than, I'm not here to write the script on how to defend yourself. But there's a implication or even an outright notion of him blaming or accusing or assuming certain things about the person making the accusation, which feels gross. You can defend yourself without implying certain things to negatively impact the person who's accusing you.
You can't.
Yes, you can.
So, but let me tell
Yes, you can.
Let me tell you why you can't. Let me tell you why you can't. You can't. Because think of what you're saying, right? So if someone makes an allegation of sexual assault against you, if someone makes an allegation of impropriety against a person, a woman, like a teacher, because these white teachers are going crazy, a teacher, right? There's only two explanations for it. Two explanations, literally only two. One explanation is that there was an encounter that person misinterpreted, that there was consent given, that there was consent asked for, and there was a sexual encounter that happened that two people in hindsight or retrospect do not agree on. Hey, she said yes or whatever happened, but in retrospect, she was too drunk to have said yes. Hey, we had sex before, so when I initiated sex, I thought that it was all good and didn't know I had put her in a position or whatever or whomever. So there has to be either a misunderstanding.
I'm fine with those things.
Or the other one is that someone is knowingly and intentionally lying on you. If someone is knowingly and intentionally lying on you, the reason that they're doing that cannot be good.
Sure.
It can't be anything other than this person has an agenda, this person has a want, this person is a bad person, because only a bad person would do that. Yeah. So you have to, if you're not going to say, hey, listen, there are times in my life or career where I've operated in sexual congress with people with murky consent, right? And I didn't know, and I feel in a way, or this is what I thought, or this is how I went about things, and I'm being completely honest that I don't think those things were rape or sexual assault, but I could see how those people did. Now, that is basically an admission of guilt.
Yeah, that's an admission of guilt.
However, if there were things that happened, it would be a conversation starter as to, I don't feel that I assaulted someone, or I didn't think that I was assaulting someone. Yeah. If you're not going to do that, the only other thing you can do is say they are lying and here's why.
No, and he does that, and then he goes into a general thing of like attacks on masculinity and, they're just doing this because it's a money grab or whatever. I think that there's something about the way that he is doing it that just feels gross to me, or just like, ugh. But there are ways, like when Drewski was accused of, an allegation in relation to Diddy, he's like, man, I was broke, living with my mom at the time, and my heart goes out to victims that were actually abused. That's like, I didn't do it. this is how I was living. Or, as he has said in some of it, I had consensual relationships with women. This didn't happen. I'll continue to defend my name. I've represented myself as a stand-up guy in the community, and I have, daughters. I have a wife. My heart goes out to people who are actually abused, and I look forward to defending my name. Like, there are ways to do it without getting down in the. He just seems to get it down in the mud.
I'll concede
but
that
again,
point.
Okay.
I'll concede that point. I will say this though. That first of all, that's a fantastic point. I will say this though. There's a little bit of difference when you remember the contact that you had with the people. So in this situation, in the Drewski and Odell Beckham situation, and look, this is not me saying anything about Drewski and Odell Beckham situation, but I'll be honest with you. Just to be real with you, I don't think that stuff happened. And I'm just going to be real with you. Like, some of the stuff that is surrounding all of the orbit of the Diddy stuff is getting to be not the stuff about Diddy himself, but some of the stuff surrounding all of the orbit around that is just getting to be a little irresponsible, if you ask me. And it's okay to be like, when you read the documents and when you look into it, I don't feel like some of this stuff happened. Now, that's not me putting anything past anyone. But if you look at something, you go, man, it's just the way it reads. Give you an example. Like, there's this guy that used to file these lawsuits, and I don't want to laugh because we're talking about something very specific, to where he said one time when he was at TMZ, he filed a lawsuit against Johnny Manziel. And in the lawsuit, he said that he saw Johnny Manziel at Disneyland, and that Johnny Manziel flashed his penis to him on the It's a Small World ride, and was singing It's a Small World after all as he was flashing his penis on the guy. And this dude used to do these lawsuits. Now, when you're reading that, you're like, I don't think that happened, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know what I'm saying?
But you said he did these kind of lawsuits all the time?
There were these type of lawsuits that would happen. And then the real thing was to make Johnny Manziel respond to the lawsuit. And so, he was singing, I got an Oscar Mayer winner. It's a small world after all. And he flashes his dick to the guy. It's like, I don't think that happened. So some of the stuff, when I look at the Drewski stuff, it kind of, I don't feel like that stuff happened. The response here, this is, besides the fact that your point is a good point, the response here would have to be a little bit more pointed, because you went to college with these women. You would have to demonstrate why they are doing this. There's no doubt that you know them. There's no doubt that you were in close quarters with them. There's no doubt in these that you have to just demonstrate why they were doing this if you were going to defend it. Might not be the way that I would do it, but when somebody's asking you, okay, well then, why have 3 different women decided that Marcellus Wiley, of all the notable guys that probably came out of Columbia, that Marcellus Wiley is the guy we're going to go with right now?
Are there that many NFL players that have come out?
Well, not NFL players, but just notable people, period. You know what I mean? I get it. But like, once again, Higher Learning is not going to be a platform, whether you guys agree with what we say or don't agree with what we say, where we're not going to discuss something because it's too close to home. You know what I mean? Like, it's impossible. And, the bad press that the Wileys are getting right now because of the Trump shit, I mean, people they were putting Anne-Marie's I'm a Trump supporter stuff split screen with Marcellus Wiley.
No.
And the accusations. And look, you could probably tell when Anne-Marie came on the show that she was a Trump supporter. Right. You could probably tell that she was a Trump supporter. Somebody being a Trump supporter and all the problems we have with conservative thought, and particularly the MAGA wing of the Republican Party, the MAGA period, it's a far cry from an allegation of sexual assault or abuse. You shouldn't be more gleeful, although that's kind of where we are politically, to say, hey, somebody is guilty of something like that because their wife is a Trump supporter.
Yeah, I mean, Anna Marie and I aren't cool in the same way we were before, but you know, I'm not gonna relish in the fact that she's a mother, she's a wife, a mother, 4 children, 3 daughters, and these accusations, like that's tough. Like the first time it happened, I reached out to her, you know?
Mhm. Not this time. Not this time, I guess. Let me ask you a question before we move on. What is the proper way to approach a friend or
About
somebody
this?
that either their husband or themselves is accused of something like this?
I mean, I just sent a simple message. I was just like, hey, I know you have a lot going on, but I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you. Um, and I'm here if you need me.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I'm talking about. You know, I don't have to get into the specifics. I think that sometimes when someone's going through something, they just want to know that you reached out and you thought about them. I don't need to go into details. I just want you to know that I'm not, because sometimes when you don't res- reach out, they think that you know, are against them now. So I
Mhm.
just wanted her to know I'm not against you. I saw the allegations. I'm here if you need me. And I'm thinking about you and, you know,
Yeah.
your kids.
All right, Donnie, let's get to economics, Donnie.
You said that you wanted to have a conversation about Black wealth inequality, and I feel like this is the perfect time to do it in the forum.
It's quick, okay?
Go for it.
So first of all, I gotta say one thing. The official announcement of redoing the top 5 to 10 Black cities list. There's got to
Oh.
be a redo.
So you are going to redo it.
I'm going to redo it. I'm not going to redo it today. I'm going to redo it Thursday. On Thursday, the updated list of Black cities is going to drop, all right? Along with another list. The top 5 BBL cities, okay? I want everybody, we're going to do the top 5 Black cities, and we're going to do the top 5 BBL cities. And I want you to reach out right now with the reason why your city has the best BBLs in America. All around the country, we can't get the Brazilians involved. It's too much of a flawless victory. I want to know why. I already have some thoughts.
I bet you do.
I want to know why your city has the best BBLs in America. That's going to be on Thursday. I'm going to do that list along with a redo of the top 5 Black cities.
Okay, forget the BBL shit. Talk about why you're redoing the list. Like, you were very confident. You said you had a system. Donnie tried to throw Detroit in. We poo-pooed that. People were upset. Why are you redoing the list? Have you changed your system? Did you get some more research?
Okay.
Like, why are we being subjected to the list again?
We're going back to it, okay? I'll tell you why I'm changing the list. I'm telling you why I'm changing the list is because people look to higher learning for a little bit more substance.
Yet they'll be on the edge of their seat for the BBL cities.
It's fine. There's substance there, okay? There's substance there.
There is something there.
Okay. Well, we don't know what that substance is, but there's something there. And I am going to use a methodology here to substantiate the top 5 Black cities. I'm going to use a 5-pronged categorical point system. All right. I'm going to use culture. This is all 1 to 10 for the cities. I'm going to use culture, prosperity, safety. What else did I say, Donnie? There was one more thing.
You said culture, safety, prosperity, political power, and Black love.
And Black love.
Black love.
Okay. Say it again, Donnie.
How do you get
The categories are culture, safety, prosperity, political power, and Black love.
So what we're going to use are Black marriage rates. Black marriage rates in these cities to talk about how easy it is to find Black love in these cities. Okay. So, and then political power and all of that. That's going to be the methodology. Every city is going to get, this stuff is not easy. Every city is going to get a score from 1 to 10, and then we're going to take these scores and we're going to tally them up, and that's the way we're going to get the number of the best black city. Okay, I'll tell you guys something else. If your city isn't at least 30 to 35% black, I'm going to say 30%. If your city is not 30% black, it's difficult to put the city on the list.
Sure.
There are cities with tremendous amounts of black culture that aren't really black cities because the black cultural, like, for example, I know my Chicago people have been upset. Chicago is one of the most culturally relevant places ever. But I don't know if Chicago has the dense, raw numbers of black people to be considered like
I
a
also
black
feel like
city.
college is a Chicago feels like a segregated city. Like Dallas, for example. I know Dallas isn't going to be on the list, but Dallas feels segregated.
Okay.
And I feel
like Chicago. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I kind of feel that way about Chicago.
I think the numbers-wise, Chicago might have the largest amount of black people in a major city.
Wrong.
Like
That's
pure
easily
numbers-wise.
Atlanta. Atlanta has like 2 million black people or something like that. Like the greater Atlanta area. But maybe I'm wrong about that too. Look, we're going to put fucking Chicago on the list. I'm looking at it right now. Chicago is 29% black. 29% black. That's a decrease from 32% black in 2010. However, 29% with everything that Chicago has done, I apologize to the city of Chicago. Chicago has got to be included. Chicago is one of the most culturally relevant places in the world, okay? It's segregated, but we'll see how it stacks up.
And so, I feel like that should play into it. Or maybe that's just an issue to talk about. That many black people and the city still is very segregated.
We're going to talk about it. But 29%, I'm going to have to give Chicago the bump. But your city's got to be 30% black to qualify for this, all right? That's it. But Chicago's going to get in with 29. 30% black to qualify for this. Maybe Donnie's right about what he said, but Isaac Hayes who told me that the greater Atlanta area had 2 million black people in it. Because New York has 1.9 million black people in it, but you wouldn't call New York a black city. You know what I mean? So it's not the thing. So we're going to redo the list you get 2 lists, along with top 5 BBL cities. I want to hear from you guys. What are the top 5 BBL cities? And then we're going to make our list based off that. Now, let's get back to wealth. There was a lot of confusion. Did you see about, some of the numbers that were coming up in the situation?
About on your list?
Yeah. Talk about wealth and income.
Yeah.
Now, it turns out that Charlotte might not be making our list because those Charlotte numbers were wonky.
I believed you. What was the 300,000 based off of?
It was based off of research that was done online. It was based off of research from an article from NPR in Charlotte that was talking about stuff. But I think people are looking at what the article says in their research differently than what was really intended.
Okay.
They used those numbers in there, but I don't think they were like right away. I don't think they were directly talking about Charlotte and the greater Charlotte area. A lot of people were very mad. The DC people were super, super pissed off. And I got to shout out someone who checked me on this. Her name is Hello Sedia on Twitter. And she has a black, or not a black, she has I promised to shout out the Blazing Bees, which is her flag football team. Okay? They're 4-0 right now. They're in Austin. The Blazing Bees. The Blazing Bees is her team. So Charlotte might not be making the list because I don't think those wealth numbers for Charlotte were right. Now, I'll say this. There were a lot of people that were on Twitter that were getting wealth and income confused. Do you get wealth and income confused?
No, I think I know there's a difference.
Give it to me.
Oh, God, here I go.
Oh, Daddy.
Wealth is something I believe that you accumulate and you pass down from generation to generation.
Oh.
Income is something that is just a check.
It's
what you make it in your lifetime.
Yeah.
It could stop at any point. But wealth is something that is passed down. It's assets.
Right. Exactly. It's very important that when I saw people getting this wrong, you're a brilliant person.
No,
It's very important that when I saw people getting this wrong, that we took at least a little time to talk about this, because the fact that people were confusing wealth with income, particularly Black people confusing this, it's very troubling.
Yeah.
And it underscores kind of what we know about America. I'll give you guys
also what we value.
what we value. What we value. I'll give you guys an example of something real quick. I had a friend and she was talking about her life with her grandmother. She's taking care of her grandmother right now. Her grandmother is an older lady, has no income except for Social Security, right? However, her grandmother owns her home. So what ends up happening is her granddaughters and stuff have to pay the property taxes and all of that stuff because grandma can't do that. Grandma needs Medicaid, grandma needs all of that stuff because grandma doesn't have very much income. The home, though, is worth about $800,000. So grandma's rich. Grandma is rich. She doesn't have a lot of income coming in. When grandma passes on, that home will be passed down to her granddaughters, who will essentially be able to sell that home for a lot more than $800,000 because of what's going on around there, right? Because of the lot size of it and stuff like that. And then they will be flush with cash, or they could choose to keep the home and let the home appreciate even more in value. And that value appreciation is this something that they can hold on to. I think understanding this is key because it's key in understanding what essentially white supremacy cost Black people. There is directly income disparity in the Black community. Income disparity runs rampant as well. We make less than what white people make because of the type of jobs that we get as opposed to them, because of barriers to education, because of barriers to entry and all kinds of different stuff. Everything. However, when I tell you in Boston, shout out to Bill Simmons, that the average family has the median white family has $247,000 worth of wealth. And the median wealth for a Black family is $8. That is indicative of not just what the people are living on or what the people have. It's indicative of what the people before them had, of what their grandparents had. And that wealth not making it to the next generation, not getting a home from someone. Home ownership is the largest driver of these disparities. And there is a reason why Black people own less homes and less land than white people. The land that they owned was dispossessed from them through contract buying schemes, through white terrorism, and other means. Home ownership, they were excluded from because of things like redlining and banks and all of that stuff. So all of that stuff, right? And some of these homes were taken, eminent domain, urban renewal, all of that stuff. So when you're talking about wealth, it's legitimately the stake in the American economic system that you have. And it undergirds, in my opinion, first of all, it's more durable, right? Because that says that you can't be, if you get fired, you still got your house, right? If you get fired, you still got your land. If your income stops, wealth is something that stops you from going straight to the poorhouse, right? It's a little bit more durable than income. Income is incredibly important, but wealth is a little bit more durable. And it also establishes real ownership in the country itself and what all you have to do. The kind of collateral that you might need and have to start a business or to do all of this other stuff or to really get into the game and continue to level up. And that, to me, understanding why you need to own something, understanding why it's great if your city has income parity with the white people there. It's great if there's some type of parity in what you're making. But if that income isn't translating to you actually owning a bigger share and being able to have a bigger share of the economy of where you come from, you're setting the next generation of Black people behind the 8 ball. We need to own homes. We need to own land. We need to have diverse portfolios, stocks, things like that. All of these things that underscore wealth, what it is that you have, what it is that you own, and how you can ensure that future generations aren't as economically bereft as past generations are. And that is what they want to keep you from.
Yeah. And that's why it's important. I mean, we've talked about it before. And we've had somebody come on, and we should do it again in the future, of just educating people on, it's like, well, where do I start? Right? This is why income is important, because you got to have some kind of income to start to build it. But there are ways that you can do it, whether it's, investing in something small, even investing as much as in insurance, right? Like whole and term insurance is a way to accumulate money that you don't even realize. Like, I started doing that when I came out of college. I forgot I had the money until the divorce. And also, to your point, it's actually why everything you're saying is why I fought so hard to keep my house. In the divorce, I was advised by my attorneys to let it go. But for me, it was the importance of having that, even if I do fall on hard times, I have that.
Yeah.
That was, and because of, to be able to pass that down, to the next generation or whatever it may be. We should have somebody, shout out to the Why Not Foundation. I attended a lovely brunch that Nina Westbrook put on. It was all women, and it was for the Why Not Foundation, which they're doing amazing work over there. And they just opened up their academy. They've got middle school and high school. And the things that they are doing in the community and what they are teaching those kids, one of them is financial literacy. And it's like how to invest, how to use your money. They even give them money to invest, to try, to show them how it works for them, and hopefully they use it and invest it as they move on and they graduate. Incredible things that they're doing. But those are the kind of programs and things that we need in the community to help the next generation. Okay, if that wealth isn't being passed down to you, at least we're teaching you and equipping you with the tools the next generation so you can build it for yourself, and then you can pass it down. Equally as important.
Need wealth. Need to something durable that can be there for the Black community.
Right? And changing the mindset of money and what to value, and because my financial guy was like, we're taught to hold on to our money. Just hold on to it and put it in your savings, and to not take it and invest it in things. And that's very true.
Yeah. Another reason, this is another reason why we get into conversations about some of the people that we know have a lot of income, and then what they're doing with that money. And a lot of times we talk about I don't want to count people's money, but I will look at it. And there's two different things. I'm not going to count your money. I'm not going to get into your pocket and be like, oh man, you should be making more, you should be making less. I'm not going to pocket watch. But I will watch the receipt. I'm not going to watch the dollar, but I'll watch the receipt. Because if you made $1 million or $2 million last year, and you bought a bunch of chains and rented a bunch of cars and rented a bunch of apartments and rented all of it and did all of that stuff, if you're not accumulating wealth, you're being dumb. That's all I'll say. The chains actually might be worth something.
No, they lose their value.
But the watches appreciate
like
value.
A Rolex after 10 years becomes worth more.
Yeah.
Somebody just told me that. Yeah. I hope that's right.
Yeah, but the Rolex, the plain Janes, the Rolex, the watches.
Is that
can
a
actually,
Rolex?
No, this is
the way you look, the way you grabbed it. You grabbed that the way our Rolexes work.
I might get a little Rolex though.
Okay. Invest.
Jayden Daniels. Juju Watkins power couple. Could be.
Allegedly. Can I tell you something?
What?
I went to the USC UCLA game. Jayden was there.
Oh, hell yeah.
just a little intel with their march. Jayden was there.
Jayden Daniels, Juju Watkins. Jayden Daniels, of course, LSU great, Heisman Trophy winner. Juju Watkins, probably right now, along with Paige, the best two players in women's college basketball. She plays for USC. Beautiful lady, handsome young man. He's around 24, 25. She will be in the WNBA very soon, a budding superstar. He's NFL's Rookie of the Year. Is Jayden's mama becoming a problem?
She's got, and I say this with love. I applaud her efforts and I understand why she is so, loud about, wanting to protect her son from people who are going to try to take from him.
Yeah.
She's not wrong. It's everywhere. She's not wrong about, she has the famous quote where she's like, there's some girl out there who's got posters of Jayden on her wall and the mom is encouraging her to go after him. I've talked about friends that I know who are about this life who train for this like it's an Olympics,
Wait a minute, they train for?
Like they know the stats. They know, they research them. They get their likes, their dislikes, all of it, all to put themselves in the position to make a play. When y'all question, how does this girl end up with this player and then this player and then this player? They training. They're training like it's a game, like it is game day.
They making videos like that nigga. They waking up doing, one of y'all ladies
work.
make that. They waking up looking at the stats. They doing the glutes. They practicing the twerking. They're doing all of the things. They practicing their DMing skills.
I am sure there are some beautiful stories where they just happen to meet in an organic way. But a lot of these women are putting themselves in the position.
Can we do a higher learning sponsored event?
Sure.
Can we do a higher learning Instagram models combine? I want to do a combine where I want to do, just like the men have a combine, I want to do a combine where women know the stats, where a twerking combine. I want to do a combine where I want to get all the events of all the women and all the ways that they get these guys, right? A DMing combine, right? Like I want to separate them in events. They should have to go to a combine and then there should be a draft for them as well. There should be a draft. You should be able to say.
But then, who's drafting them?
The guys.
Okay. I don't like that whole setup already sounds wrong.
Hold on. It happens to men. They get drafted by
to teams.
So what?
The moment you're like, so the men get to pick. Okay, they pick the woman. I like the idea. I like the idea of the categories of like how women train for it, but I don't like the idea of the men picking them.
But hold on. See? You just said that these women were essentially preying on these men, and I want to give them, I want to have training, train to prey on them. And that's fine with me. That's the way the game goes. But I want to have a combine where we establish who is the best.
I'm fine
at all
with
of
that
these
part.
Different things.
And then they just win. They just win in that way.
Okay.
That, like maybe you win season tickets to a game.
Or
you know what I mean? Like all that hard work puts you in the position to make the play.
Because I want to know who the best at it is. Because like I would think that you wouldn't necessarily protect Jayden Daniels from Juju.
Well, that's why
Watkins.
It's going too far. It's like I applaud her for what she's doing, and I can't say that if my child was a superstar, I wouldn't want to be involved and protect him at all costs as well. But Juju, you would think is the person you would want your son to be with if this is a love connection. She's got her own money. She knows what it takes, like the mindset it takes to be a superstar athlete. She understands the game. She'll respect it. You know what I mean? Like she can support you and hold her own at the same time. Like this is what you want. She doesn't need Jayden in any kind of way that maybe some of these other women would desire him for. That's the kind of woman that you would want.
And the reason why we're saying this is because the pictures came out of Jayden and Juju sitting together at the game, and then all of a sudden, Jayden's mom was pictured in between them. Like
between them.
She got in the middle and she said no. No. But Juju, I mean, it's like, I could see if she was trying to protect Jayden from Jada Waiter. Or,
Well, that's what,
Jada Waiter, fine. Like, it's like these women are beautiful, but these are the women that a mother would be afraid of. These are the women that...
They know the game better, maybe better than your child.
Burgos.
Than your
like,
new
by the way, I have no problem with these ladies. I'm not dissing these ladies, but...
They know the game.
But you would think that a mother would be like, oh, okay, well, these are the ladies that I would protect somebody from. Like, and if you're protecting a grown man from women, which I don't think that you should do. I think these guys go out there and do whatever they want to do. And honestly, I think that there's probably something really alluring about a lot of the women that get dissed. They understand these men's lifestyles. They understand how to keep these men interested. They're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They probably know a bunch of stuff. So there's probably more to it than other people think. But if you were protecting them, it would be from some of the women that are more infamous for dating famous people and not necessarily like a Juju Watkins, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, and my other fear would be, listen, you might push him to rebel. You keep telling him all the things he can't do. He might go the opposite way.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like that person, but it could happen.
Like Bad Baby or something. Okay. I want to check in with a couple of people next episode. I got to check in with my man. We're doing a new segment called What Happened to This Nigga?
Oh, okay.
We're doing the next. We're not going to tell you who it is.
Okay.
But on the next episode of Higher Learning, we're doing a new segment. It's called, Man, What Happened to This Nigga?
Okay.
Like, what is nigga
I like
at?
it. I like it.
And our first What Happened to This Nigga is a doozy. You know, our first What Happened to This Nigga, like where he went. He was all the rage last year.
Came in fast, left fast.
He was all the rage last year, but we just asked him, like, man, what happened to this nigga? That's on the next show, along with the revamped list, along with the top 5 BBLs list.
And talking about the Department of Education.
Talking about the Department of Education with a guest. We didn't do any political news right now, but that doesn't mean nothing's happening. A lot of stuff's going on. We're going to talk about the Department of Education next. Shout out to Tiger Woods.
Come on, let's end the show.
He's got a new relationship with Vanessa Trump.
That doesn't need a shout out.
You don't think
the
so?
fact that it's making as much news, don't care.
Okay.
Don't care.
I don't know what's going on, but got a text from someone, and it was one of the funniest texts I've ever one of the funniest texts I ever got. The text was this simple. It was like, "Is Tiger Woods a Sambo?"
If you have to ask.
I don't think that's fair. It's not fair to call Tiger Woods a Sambo.
I didn't. But if you have to ask.
I'm going to make the case on the next show why Tiger Woods is actually not a Sambo.
Okay. Because he's not black? Because he doesn't consider himself black?
Nope. He's not a Sambo. Okay? All right. Take thinking caps off, but do not stop learning. I'm Van Lathan Jr.
I'm Rachel and Lindsay. Bye, guys.
Hope we made y'all mad.